grandstand bettors in the house with Ian for very biased opinions that are soccer analysts across the pond. This guy is amazing. We have gone 2-2 over the last 2 weeks, but man, we are on a tear in the football season. We're going to get right into our 4 soccer bets today. We're going to Serie A Sassuolo versus Atalanta. That wasn't even near what the name is. I think it's Sassuolo? How do you say that, Ian? Welcome into the show.
Sassuolo versus Atalanta. And welcome, everybody. It's great to be back once again. Hopefully, the winners that we did back last weekend offset the losers, and the main losers were Spurs. Terrible performance in the cup final. Hopefully you didn't throw too much money on them because they didn't deserve it, quite frankly. So we're going back to a bit of tried and tested in this one. We're going back to Atalanta in Serie A. They've been remarkably impressive and seem to get better every week as the season's wrapping up. Now, they're second in the league. They're a long way behind Inter Milan. But the fact that they are second in the league and they're ahead of the likes of AC Milan and the likes of Juventus is a real feather in their cap. I think this may actually be their highest finish in Serie A ever if they did finish in second place. So wonderful performance by them. And they play a Sassuolo side who also have had a good season and are up in the upper half of the table. And a lot of people would have backed them to go down at the start of the season. So two sides that are having great seasons. But we're looking at Atalanta in this one, Matt. We think it's going to be another solid win. We know they like to get goals and they like to attack. And we're going for Atalanta on the handicap line. Now, it does get a little bit funny. It's around that 1.5 line bit, and I'll let you explain that more. But we are going basically on the spread, on the handicap. We're going on Atalanta.
So Atalanta the win. I appreciate you, Ian, telling me the easier pronunciation of the team. Atalanta. That's the best one. If you don't know what an Asian handicap is, put in the comments below, what is an Asian handicap? We'll explain it to you. Super simple. And actually, it's going to save you money in the long run. So Atalanta, -1, -1.5. It's actually even money there on the Asian handicap. But Ian, I want to get into this really quickly. Atalanta is not going to win Serie A this year. They're just not going to. Inter Milan is the better team. But they are going to get close. What can they do next year in order to overcome Inter Milan? Is that even possible?
Oh, sorry. I was just busy writing my what is an Asian handicap comment because goes over my head, folks. Look, it's going to be difficult for them to close the gap. Put it that way. You expect Juventus to come back and challenge next season. You expect Inter Milan to still be as strong. The main thing with Atalanta continually getting into the Champions League is it means that they're going to have a sizable budget and they're going to be able to mainly keep this group of players together, and they're going to avoid people in the Premier League coming to cherry pick some of those great attacking players, like, for example, Muriel, like, for example, Gomez, like, for example, in the back, Goossens and Romero. So if Gasperini as well is a highly prized coach, so hopefully he'll stay in there too. So it's about keeping the nucleus of the squad together, Matt, and then trying to bring in some seasoned experience, guys that have been there, guys that have done it, guys that have won it in the past. Now, that is going to be easier said than done, but I always think the main thing about Atalanta is they're good to get so far, but do they actually believe that they can go and win things? I don't think they had the belief they could beat Real Madrid in the Champions League, for example. And maybe if it got down to the stretch next season in Serie A, would they have the belief that they could win the title like what Leicester did a few years ago and upset all of the big names?
You know, I love that you brought up the Champions League loss there because, I think they have had the opportunity to become a staple name in European football, and they just can't get over that hurdle. So, but you know what? I love the team. I love the energy, the entertainment that they bring, especially to Serie A and all football in Europe. So, hey, hopefully they can get that, and maybe we'll have kind of a European Serie A race that we do in Ligue 1 in France right now. So maybe that'll happen next year. We look forward to that, but let's dive into our second bet on Sunday, May 2nd at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. This is going to be, as you would say, maybe a cracker. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but Liverpool versus Man United. What is that compared to here in the States?
it is going to be a cracker. Good use of the terminology. Look, Liverpool versus Man United. It is two of the biggest club sides in world football. I mean, we've talked a lot about rivalry games when we've done these ones, and I didn't necessarily want to do Manchester United again because they let me down finally for the first time ever. But this game is too big to pass up. This is probably the equivalent, if you're looking in history, on like Yankees, Red Sox, or more recently, you would say the two best sides at the moment, you would say Dodgers and Padres. But these two sides are the sides that have got they're the biggest names, if you like, in English football. And whenever they go head to head, it always is a special occasion. They've had so many classic encounters down the line, and this one should be an interesting one as well. Over the last few years, Liverpool have been the better side of the two. The dynamics kind of flipped on its head this year and gone back towards Manchester United being the better side, but the need for Liverpool to win is greater than the need for Manchester United to win. Liverpool have to win this game to get back into the Champions League. Otherwise, it will be a complete disaster and a failure of a season for them. Also, we do think that Manchester United might be resting a few players, so we are going to go a little bit out there on this one. And this one, you could get some good value. Be brave. If you want to back goals, I do understand it, but be brave on this one. We're going for a Liverpool win on the money line. Liverpool to beat Manchester United to win the game on the money line straight up.
That is a great value. I think it's plus 150 right now, so good value for Liverpool. To be honest, I like the fact that you brought up Man United really doesn't have anything to play for. They are in second place, I believe, and that's kind of locked up in a way. But I don't really want to talk about Man United because I don't care about Man United. I want to talk about Liverpool. This team last season, they're 1 year removed from winning the Premiership. What happened to them? They're just trying to get into the Champions League this
year. Yeah, there are factors around it. Manchester United is one of these factors why I do think they'll win, but we'll do the Liverpool bit side of it first. Right. The main thing about Liverpool is they've had problems at both ends of the pitch. Defensively, they've had injuries to some key players, including arguably the best defender in the world, Virgil van Dijk, who got injured right at the start of the season, has been out for the whole year. They've missed him enormously. On the other side of the pitch, Liverpool had an amazing record in front of goal last season. They scored goals for fun. They looked so dangerous every time they went forward. That hasn't changed, and they still look dangerous every time they go forward, and they still create the same number of chances. They've just struggled to stick the ball in the back of the net. People like Mane, people like Firmino have really not got the goals this season. It's only really Mohamed Salah who's really kept the levels up in terms of goals from the season before. But so it is still an excellent Liverpool side. Do not think that just because they're in sixth place in the league that they still don't have an excellent side, because a lot of that side that was there last season is still there, and they're finding they are sort of finding their way through the season, and they've still, as I say, they've still got a lot of attacking quality. I think that he's going to play Diogo Jota, who's like been there. They signed him from Wolves, and he's been a really great player for them, and they missed him when he was injured too. He's going to play. Salah's going to play. Hopefully they'll have a better time out of Mane, and I think they're really going to go for this Man United backline, put them under pressure, and be a lot more like the Liverpool that we saw last season. Also, Manchester United, their main prize is going to be winning the Europa League now, and hopefully Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be resting a lot of his regulars to play in the game against Roma on Thursday, so he won't want to risk getting injuries for that one. So it may be a slightly weakened Manchester United side going up against this Liverpool team.
I love that you brought up Diogo Jota. He actually can put the ball in the back of the net. For those of you that play daily fantasy soccer in the Premier League, this guy gets you a lot of points sometimes when he is on the pitch. So great. Hey, I love your breakdown there, Ian. Liverpool, Man United. We're going to take Liverpool on the money line, plus 150. That is great value for a team that is just coming off a season ago, winning the entire league. So our third bet from Very Biased Opinions. Before we get into it, make sure you go to Very Biased Opinions. Those guys know what they're talking about. They have probably the best Premier League predictions on the entire YouTube channel. So go over there, subscribe, like all their videos, and if you feel like contributing to their channel, make sure you go on to their Patreon site. They got a great Patreon site with a lot of things they give you for free once you subscribe. So I guess it isn't for free, but make sure you go over to the Patreon. They start, I think, at $4 a month, which is super cheap. So, hey, Ian, bet number 3. For some reason, this has kind of been a trend over the last month. We are going to dip into Ligue 1 here. And again, we're going to talk about Lyon, and they're going to take on Monaco here. What do you like against 2 of the top teams in Ligue 1?
Yeah, well, this title run-in in Ligue 1 is getting more fascinating by the week. What an incredible game Lyon had last weekend against Lille, and what about shooting themselves in the foot? 2-0 up and ended up losing by 3-2. A huge turnaround from Lille, almost ends Lyon's title bid right there. So we've talked about Lyon a lot last week. Let's focus on AS Monaco, who are almost a surprise package in this season. I don't think many people would have expected them to be challenging up at the top of the league. They've had from where they were around about January time, or maybe sort of like the just around about Christmas time, they were nowhere near, and they've had an amazing second half of this season. I think they've got they've maybe drawn 3, lost 1 out of 20 games, so they've been on a tear and they've stormed up through the league. They've won 5 straight. If they win against Lyon at the weekend, it'll be 6 straight. They're right in the mix to win this title for the first time since back in the day when they had Kylian Mbappe. So in this one, though, we are going to go for goals. We are looking at goals on this one. We think Lyon certainly showed they can stick the ball in the net, but we've also shown that they can blow it and throw leads away. So we think the goals bet is a safe one here. It's over 3. We think you should put your money on that, sit back and enjoy another quality weekend of French football.
Awesome. Lyon, Monaco. I got to be honest with you, Ian. I was kind of hoping that Lille would Lyon would hang on to the 2-0 lead last week because I wanted them to get even closer to the top. I mean, could you imagine that traffic jam if they would have held on to the 2-0 lead? Oh, man, that would have been amazing. But Monaco, let's talk about them for a second. They're an interesting team this year. Usually, I would say they're a mid-table team. This year, they've had quite a bit of success. They have a chance, really, to win the whole league. What has been their secret this year to that success?
Really, they've kept it very, very simple. The coach that's come in is Niko Kovac. He's come in from Bayern Munich. He was almost ousted from Bayern Munich halfway through the season last season, but he's come into Monaco. It's taken him a little time to get his to get the side he wants to play, get his messages across. But since they certainly have got almost like a back to basics approach. Extremely hard to beat. They play a very simple style of play in a 4-4-2, which is almost what we consider that like an outdated formation almost, but they play it and it works well to them. They've got 2 goal scorers up front in Volland and Ben Yedder, who are smashing in the goals this season. They've also got goals from the bench as well. They've got a couple of good holding midfield players in there. So they can hurt you from a number of different areas, but the main difference what they're doing this season is from set pieces, they've scored an unbelievable amount of goals. They've scored 19 goals from set pieces. So from free kicks and from corners, this side is incredibly dangerous. They've got a load of big defenders they can bring up from the back who score goals as well. So they're a difficult side to play, and they can hurt you in a number of different ways.
Yeah, you know what? They're a surprising team, but I always like an underdog, so I'm going to root for them. I think last week we touched on maybe taking a future bet on either Lyon or Monaco. They were 8-1 last week. I'm pretty sure Lyon dropped to probably 20-25-1. But I think you could probably still get Monaco at a good price. So maybe take a chance on them. Who knows? But Ian is going to take Lyon Monaco over 3. It's pretty good value for an over. It's even money to 100 to win 100. And you know what? Speaking of overs, you know what time it is? Yeah, it's time for Grandstand Betters over the week. And we are 2-0 in our last 2 weeks on the overs. We are going to start the day yet again at 9 a.m. on Sunday, May 2nd. We're going with a Premier League game. a lot of people may be surprised. Newcastle, Arsenal, we're going to take over 2.5. Listen, Newcastle has had 8 straight matches at home where both teams have scored. Arsenal on the road has scored 3 goals or more in 5 of the last 6 games. Now, Arsenal may be trying to rest some players to win the Europa League. If they do so, you got to think about some of those bench players who don't get many minutes. They're going to get in there. They're going to want to score. They're going to show their talent. We like the over 2.5. You're getting a little bit of juice here. It's at like minus 115, but that's still good enough to take a shot on. So Newcastle, Arsenal over 2.5. Grandstand bettors over of the week. We look to go for 3 straight. Ian, are you excited about the grandstand bettors over the week?
I think it's a superb bet, Matt. It's nice to you to go back to it's nice to you to go back to teams that you can fully say the name of. And 2, I think you've got 2 sides that are going to score goals. And I think in Arsenal, you've got a side that just loves to make mistakes. And that will help Newcastle get some goals as well.
That's right. The wife wasn't available to tell us how to say any French names, so we stayed as far away from any hard names as we could. But hey, listen, we have 4 bets for you this weekend on Sunday, May 2nd. Just to recap real quick, we'll start in the morning, 9 a.m. Sassuolo versus Atalanta. We're taking Atalanta -1, -1.5 on the Asian handicap. Remember to write what is an Asian handicap. We'd love to explain that to you. Put that in the comments below. Also at 9 a.m., the grandstand bettors over the week, Newcastle, Arsenal over 2.5. At 11:30, this is the cracker of the weekend, Liverpool, Man United. Take Liverpool on the money line, +150. So many good odds there on that team for a team that is just 1 year removed from winning the Premiership. And to end the day, we will go back to our Iron Maiden Ligue 1, and that is Lyon versus Monaco over 3. Again, great odds, even money. So that does it for us. 4 bets, hopefully 4 winners for you. Very biased opinions. As always, Ian, thank you for joining us. Go over to their channel, subscribe to them, and as always, sit back, relax, watch some football this weekend, and let us do the work while you do the winning.